One thing I love, is seeing London-based productions succeeding. I don't know what it is, but it just gets me gassed. And I have to say, Rapman cooked. Fully feels like we're in some type of London renaissance. If we're just talking about shows, we're finally moving away from the same old type of crime dramas. First with the BBC show Borders, and now we got Supacell. Personally, I just have to thank my man for finally giving me something to talk about. Ever since Top Boy's final season, I've just been struggling. But finally, it's come. Supacell. Let's get into it.
Get ready!
First off, was it just me, or was I getting hella Attack the Block vibes? You know, like with the whole sci-fi thing, it has to be the inspiration, because I swear we never got another movie that matched this vibe. Let me put you on some game though, because another movie I could see it loosely being inspired by is They Clone Tyrone, which interestingly enough is another movie John Boyega stars in. If you haven't seen that movie, you should. It literally has the same vibe as this one, where it's that whole kind of conspiracy of the government kidnapping and experimenting on people. Except you're gonna switch London with Atlanta. And yeah, that's basically the plot of Supacell summarized. They don't really go too deeply into the lore, I guess, of the show. They explain the powers and where it comes from, and they show you your villains. But apart from that, the focus is more on what if people in London, like you and me, got powers. What realistically is gonna happen? Cause you know, in real life, people are more selfish, you know. Like these days, boss man isn't even giving you an extra wing. I think that's a good thing though, cause your villains are the typical evil government. You know, that's, if I be real, that's kind of boring. The main characters are way more interesting, so it's better to focus on them. And yeah, I can't lie, the overall group of villains for the show, so boring. Some don't even have lines, bro. There's only one standout, but to be fair, he is really good. Finally, we're finally given a series set in London that isn't based around gangs. Okay, I kinda lied, but not really. Taser is one character out of 5, so while we've seen his story about 100 times, it's not the show's primary focus. Speaking to someone else who watched the show, the thing they said to me is that Rapman gets it, man. Unlike Top Boy, nothing feels forced. Nothing is overplayed. I get the characters in some way, even with the unredeemable actions they take. I get their circumstances, so I get the motivation. For example, like Andre. He didn't give up any of the other powered people, even though his hesitation is what got him sentenced the first time. He doesn't even know them. He's not gonna lose nothing by snitching, but we get why he doesn't. Me personally though, so the plot is centered around time travel, and it always gets sticky when time travel is involved in any type of media. I can't lie, I didn't like how it was used. It seemed like it just made more holes than anything. But with the way they set up for a potential season 2, maybe it's gonna get fleshed out more, so I'm holding out hope. More specifically, like how Michael was able to travel to the future, but it was something his future self didn't have any knowledge of. So are they trying to say that there was an original timeline where he couldn't travel to the future? But then that kind of brings in the question of what was the change in the new timeline to be able to do that? Wouldn't it have been better for his future self to just bring him to the future so he could change it? Real talk though, the CGI was so shit. It did get better as the show went on, but there's a scene in the very first episode. Every time I bring it up, everyone knows exactly what this scene is. It is horror. It looks like a YouTube skit. But that's the thing though. You have to start somewhere. If Supacell does well, it's obvious that they're gonna trust him with a bigger budget. Maybe even with bigger and better projects. And then imagine what he can do then. It might just seem like I'm glazing, but bro, he's cold. Last thing before we get into the characters. A big theme I noticed with this season is inaction. With every hero, inaction is a big deal. Think of Spider-Man. Inaction is what got his uncle killed, so he keeps trying to make up for it. As one of the characters mentions to Michael, it's the butterfly effect, where your inaction will cascade into other events. Rod not helping Michael leads to his friend being put into a coma, and each one of these characters deal with the consequences of inaction. A true hero is gonna act without hesitation, and maybe that's something that they're gonna have to learn. You know what, yeah, since there's bear shows coming out, I think it's time I put forth an idea of my own.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Listen, yeah, alright, listen. We're gonna take Vampire Diaries, we're gonna set in London. It's gonna start with some down on the luck, you just getting bullied in school. One day he decides to fight back, but his bully is crazy. Every day after school now, my man's getting ducked down, just running home. And this is where the show starts. He's just running home, but this time he hides in some alleyway. He sees this one weird guy. I'm talking Predator Drake settings. You might even have to shout him for the role. The kid is like, yo bro, help me please, I'm getting chased. Meanwhile the guy's like, listen here, I can give you your heart's desire. The kid's like, the guy turns him into a vampire on the spot. And like that, he's brought into the hidden world of vampires. Hidden deep inside London. And listen, Netflix, just shout me, yeah, instant 8 seasons. I will cook, bro. Please just put me in that writer's seat. True say though, we got bare characters to run through. Moving like one officer HMP Wandsworth. Let's go.
What can you do?
Michael and Dion are like your Lois Lane and Superman, your MJ and Spider-Man. That perfect couple that is tested when one of them becomes a hero, and suddenly their life is put in immense danger. Even though none of these characters really become heroes by the end, it's the powers that bring this struggle. Though to Michael, it's not his life in danger, it's Dion's. That's the kind of main conflict that they have. I like Dion as that Lois Lane archetype. Usually the girlfriend trope really diminishes the character. They become like incessant and just always complaining. But in Dion, she's actively involved in solving the bigger mystery from the start, and this all draws from her action, where the people who actually have powers are actively not acting. I'd say if Dion had any of the powers of the others, the series would have been wrapped up in 3 episodes, because she really does have that kind of heart of a hero. I like the dynamic that they have, where if they work together, things would be way easier. It adds tension. It kind of flips that annoying girlfriend trope onto Michael instead, because he's not being honest and communicative, so he just comes off as annoying when he's not listening to her. Though you know why? Because bro is stressed. More on that Michael thing. From the very first scene we see that he's often acting without consulting Dion. When he bought a car and didn't really discuss it with her. This is actually a huge flaw of his, and it follows him throughout all the episodes. Him constantly acting because of the future, and we know if he just stopped to talk to Dion, they'd have a much better chance of actually saving her life. It's also interesting how it highlights their relationship as not entirely perfect. They're engaged, yeah, but when tested they struggle to resolve conflict. But actor for Michael is a future star. That's one to look out for. He's already been in Doctor Who, but bro, he was amazing in this season, fam.
I ain't the one that's trapped.
The guy Taser is being played by Josh Tadeki. He was in the other show Borders, and in this one he seems to be playing somewhat of a similar character, and so it kind of seems like he's starting to get typecasted, though I do feel like his role in Borders was just the exact type of character they wanted for Supacell. Still, I know a lot of people who want to see him in some other stuff.
But I'm telling you now, and I maybe now didn't want to say this in front of him, but he will go right to the very top. Right to the very top.
Nah, but man said they're charging service charge for delivery in their estate. Like, these men have no motion, making no bread. They're just about the violence.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always!
And my thing about Taser in the first couple of episodes is that he's too nonchalant. And he's not even a dreadhead, fam.
You got your rapist, homo, thug, black balls or whatever. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm never saying that again. Do you know what I notice about these type of shows as well? Is that whenever they have like a gang, yeah, they always have like the same type of character. Like they have the main character who's like some type of nonchalant guy. They have the funny one. Then they have the flipping aggressive one as well. Like, is it just me just noticing these flipping archetypes just popping up everywhere? It's happened 3 times now. Real talk though, it comes off more as awkward than cool. When he does show other emotions though, it's really good. Especially the anger he shows. You can imagine people with a story like Taser just have bare anger and they probably don't even know why. A standout scene for me is when he learns about the truth of his mother. The subtle change of expression on his face, then to pure anger. He really hated his mum, and he can only lash out when he learns that sad truth. Andre, probably among my favorite characters this season. His story wasn't one of the more interesting ones, but probably the most arguably the most emotional or fleshed out ones. And this guy had a serious bop, fam. I need to learn that walk style. But specifically I'm talking about the struggle with finding a job due to his criminal record. How it drives him just because he wants to care for his son. You even see the first thing he does when he actually gets some money is splash it all on his son. But really and truly, all his son probably wants to do is just spend time with him. And Andre don't really get that. He feels insecure in a way that he's not able to provide for his son. And even admits he started to think AJ would think his stepfather was his real dad. So he tries to make up for it with gift giving. And when it comes to actually spending time with his son, he's not able to make it because he's out there trying to get some more money. This backfires on him and leads AJ into some dangerous situations because now he's trying to make money too. I'm not sure on his motivations, but the idea that I got was that he wanted to make some money for his father. You see that cycle? These two are probably gonna be the favorites this season, I can't lie. I don't have too much notes on these two, but I just like the variety in the main characters. Not every guy from London is gonna sound the same or act the same, but they're gonna have some of the same struggles. Rodney's story is good, but if not a bit out of nowhere. If there were signs and I missed it, then let me know. Man said we got to see a flying Castillo. I was even saying that it's also brave that he even took on that role in the first place.
Hang on. It's just a fun.
I gets went crazy cuz proper intense villain, menacing, brutal. He had that presence. His scenes with Sabrina's sister really actually made me recoil in disgust. You know what, it also made up for those faceless goons that we saw throughout the season. His powers are cold too, absorption is low-key OP, but not at the same time, it's balanced. He just had that aura, can't lie. My man just sprayed his aura everywhere, all over the screen, fam. In a way, I was thinking it's so odd how he just appeared out of nowhere, how his influence and power was like that all of a sudden. The setup was done really well for that and it paid off in the last episode. That scene with what he done to Taser.
That man should be arrested immediately.
If you haven't watched it yet and you're from London or you like the culture, then go watch it. It's made for people like you. Mainly this show made me excited for future projects, whether it be from Rapman or other people inspired by this show. Even the show as a spotlight for actors who will then go on to do mad things. And as a show by itself, it's actually pretty good. There are some parts where the acting falls flat, the CGI is wonky, but really and truly you'll either laugh or just forget about it. I'll give season 1 of Supacell a great like, subscribe, and let me know what else I should watch.
Got it,